What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? Let's get into changing out template number 305, which is a 12-foot by 8-foot tall focal with a circle in the center and optional light ups with LEDs around this center area. And we'll go ahead and use the assets that are provided in class here. I'm going to start with photo number 1 here. We'll right click, go to photo 1, and as long as you right click on the image, it will show you where it is in the layers here. Now, I do want to show you the way that you would be doing this type of template with Canva. Because we have smart objects enabled, I'm going to show you a better way, but I at least want to show you, even if you had this template and it was in Canva, what you would have to do. You would have to go to File, Place Embedded, or bring in your image. I'm going to look for my photos here, so I'm going to change it to the large icons. And because I'm on photo number 1, I'm going to replace it with photo number 1 and just hit place. Now the fact that it comes in somewhere in the middle of the screen, I have to move it, then I have to scale it up and place it in place. Now I want to show you a better way. I'm actually going to delete that one. The better way is that we just go in, because this is a Photoshop template, we have the option to just double click, and we can still do File, Place Embedded, and go ahead and choose that photo 1, place it here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the eyeball of the previous image, close that out, hit yes to save. And because it's a smart object, it will automatically put it in the same position and the same size as what I had there before. I can quickly go ahead and change out number 2 here. But instead of doing the place embedded, I'm going to do the drag and drop method. So this one was photo number 3. I'm just going to drag and drop here, turn off the eyeball for photo number 3, close it out, hit yes to save those changes. And I'll go to our photo 2 here, and it reveals it right here inside of the template layers. And again, if you want something to go on top of the existing image, go ahead and select that layer, and Photoshop will automatically put the new layer on top of the old layer. So this is going to be photo 2. Turn off the eyeball for the previous layer. And notice that the file type here is a PSB. If it's PSB or a TIFF or a PDF, something that allows you to save layers, you can save all of these layers. I just suggest you not doing that so often and having a whole bunch of layers there for no reason. All right, so we switched out our photos there. The next thing we're going to do, go ahead and switch out the logo. And right here, that's my accent 1. Use the drag and drop method because I'm a visual person, so I have my assets right here. Let's go ahead and drag and drop. Turn off the previous image, and we can hit yes to save those changes. And then I also want to go ahead and change out the background here. Let's go ahead and double click. And I want to use my red background here. Let's go ahead and let's turn off the eyeball here, because the more that you have turned on or exposed, the larger your file will be. So if you turn the eyeball off, it will help to save some data there. And we see automatically turns everything red because we're using that background for the sides and the center here. And now let's go ahead and let's choose our smart colors here. I'm going to go over here to color number 1 and just drag and drop my color 1 that came from my 304 template. Now keep in mind, this is a PNG up here. So a PNG, you can only have 1 layer. So you can choose to merge the layers if you want to, but if you have transparency, merging will keep your transparency. So as a rule of thumb, if you see PNG, you can merge the layers. If you see a JPEG, you have to, when you right click, you absolutely have to actually flatten the image, okay? So you choose flatten image when it's a JPEG, and then you can merge all the layers if you are doing a PNG. Now it doesn't give me the option right now because I don't have multiple layers. Let me go back a second. And now you can see you can merge anything that has the visibility on. But my suggestion when you're going through these quick flips is just delete that last little layer and keep it moving. All right, let's go ahead and change our color number 2 here. And this is more for our reference. We need that color. Delete the layer underneath. And then you can do Control S. That should be one of your favorite shortcuts. That's your save dance. If you're on a Mac, it is Command S. And here I'm going to go ahead and change out the logo color here. So just a quick double click here. And then what I want to do is I want to save my colors over here to my swatches. I'm going to grab my color picker tool here, aka the eyedropper. And I'm going to touch on both of those colors and see how they automatically go to my swatches here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and change these out. And I want to go with a brighter image, so I turned off my levels here. Of course, if you want to make the levels a little bit darker, that's the medium, and then this is the darker. And you can definitely click on these, and once you have one of them activated, you can play with shifting the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights to get your desired results. But this one, I want a lot of contrast, so I'm going to make this light here. All right, so that's my class of. I'm going to do the same thing to the 2025. If I can't find something, I'm going to right click on it. And then I can look for what I'm touching here. And this happens to be my neon logo, number 1. I'll go ahead and go to my swatches here, change that out to the gray, and then turn off the levels here. And last thing I'm going to do is change out my step and repeat pattern here. So I'm going to right click, click on the step and repeat right. If you don't see step and repeat right, that means that you're not clicking on the meat of the text. You got to make sure that you're touching the meat of the text. That means not the outline, not the drop shadow, but the actual text. Now when I double click here, I see a pattern. This one was custom made here. I'm going to double click to change the text here and duplicate the group. I'm going to call this group called Vikings, and I'll put Vikings 2 there. When I open it up, I can double click on the first text, that's my script. I'm going to put Vikings there. And then the next text, when I double click on the T, I just start typing. I don't hit delete or anything. Just start typing, and this one's going to be Reigns Vikings. When I get it how I like, I can do Control S to quickly save. Now this one will take a little bit of time to update because this is a large scale graphic. We'll go ahead and close out and hit yes to save again. This should update our step and repeat that's in our graphic. And I'll show you in just a moment how you can change the color of the step and repeat. If you come down here to color overlay, you have an option right now that is white. I like to keep my white and black because those are the colors that I'm typically going to be using here, especially since I'm using a transparency. I can pretty much achieve whatever I want with either white or black. So you can decide if you have a light color image and you want the step and repeat to stand out a little bit, I would choose black. And if you have a dark color, which pretty much this is a darker color, I choose to go with the white here. And one more thing, if you want the opacity to be a little stronger, which is the same as transparency, go ahead and click on this down arrow and just increase your opacity until it gets to your liking. For this red, I'm going to use a little more opacity than when I had the dark green because it was almost black. So just a tiny bit of opacity, about 20% is what I had for the dark green. But the red is more towards mid-tone, so I need to increase the opacity to see it a little bit better. So I have it right now on 43. Once I have that, I can right click on this layer, copy that layer style, and I also want to go ahead and paste it on my left side because it doesn't have the same level of opacity. So when I paste layer style, it sticks right there. And just like that, we have a full flip in about 5 minutes once you get the hang of this. Now I'm going to show you a little bonus here. If you want to make your image have like a contoured edge here instead of the natural flyaways of the hair, this will give you a better result when it comes to making it look cleaner and also giving you a clear cut line when it comes time to produce these. So let's go ahead first and start with the image number 1. I'm going to right click on the image and go to photo 1. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete the layer mask that is here. And I'm going to turn off the previous image here as well. All right. And what I hope to achieve here is all of these little flyaways that are causing this kind of rugged look. I want to clean it up. So I'm going to use something called the pen tool. Grab that pen tool, and I'm going to start over here. Even though this is not going to be affected, just gives me a good starting point. And I am clicking and dragging this pen tool to create curves here. And I want you to imagine that you were cutting this with an X-Acto knife, which is what you would be doing in real life. By me following the lines here and kind of creating a smooth edge, this is going to be so much easier to cut when it is time to custom cut this particular contour. Now, as I get into the inside space here, I can be a little more liberal with where I go next. I just want to make sure that I am including the entire image here. All right, and make sure, I forgot to mention this before, make sure that your mode is on path here and that you're on the combined shapes just in case you need to add to it. But once you have that shape created around here, you can go ahead and click mask and it will make a vector mask. The great thing about a vector mask versus a bitmap mask, and I'll show you that one. A bitmap mask still looks like it has the same smoothness. I cannot go in and edit those curves. However, with a vector mask, I can use my arrow tool here, and I'm going to hold down and choose the white direct selection tool instead of the regular path selection there. Once I click on that curve, I can identify where these nodes are and I can move them around. I can pull on the nodes to make a curve more intense or less intense. And this gives me a customizable cutout that if something just doesn't look right, I can always go back and change it. So this is a vector mask in gray. This is a bitmap mask in black and white. But either way, once you go ahead and bring those in and you create those nice curves there, it gives you the ability to have a much cleaner cut here. And also, like I said, this will be easier to follow if you are cutting this out in real life. All right, now next I want to show you how to go ahead and, number one, just quickly export this so that you have a mock-up. So if you go right to the top up here to the folder where it says 12x8, circle 3-piece mock-up, you right click, you can go to quick export as PNG. And this is just going to be for a mock-up here. And then at the end, I'm just going to put that this is my Red Vikings. And now this one is good to go. Now to get it print ready, that is a little bit of a different story. Let me show you what to do to make it print ready. For print ready, what you're going to do is, number one, go ahead and go into your background image because you need to upscale it. Now right now, we go to image, image size. We can see that we've been working in 15 resolution. Let's go ahead and put a 0 there, hit OK, and this is going to increase the size. It may take your system some time to do this, but go ahead and let it do this because now you're getting into the final phases of saving. So we want to make sure that we have large format. Look how much larger this is. If I go to Control 0, it looks exactly the same, but it's going to print differently because it's got a higher level of detail in the pixels. Now when I go ahead and go to save, it may take some time to save here as well. And as soon as it's finished saving, we're going to go ahead and close out of this tab here. Once it's done saving, it will start updating the smart objects here. And I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording until it's done updating. All right, now that it's done updating, I'm just going to close out of this tab, and automatically it doesn't look like anything changed in the design because it just increased the quality of the graphic. We didn't change the size, and we didn't change the content. Now what we're going to do is the same thing to this big file. We're going to go up to image, image size, and right here the resolution is 15, and let's go ahead and change it to 150, hit OK, and notice how much larger that file got. It ended up being 1 gig as the estimated size. That means that whenever we sit here and we design it 15 pixels and add a 0, now we are making that file much larger. As a matter of fact, I believe it is 100 times larger, even by adding just that 10 there. Let's go ahead and do Control 0 so we can see everything. And let's check the image size. All right, so the image size now is 1 gig. And let's, just for kicks and giggles, see that it was 10 megs before. So 10 megs goes up to 1 gig. That is 100 times the file. But just to let you know, this is a temporary thing. We are never going to work in our file this large. We're only going to do this just so that we can prep it for print. Now let me show you how easy it is to get it ready for print. We're going to go to the bottom folder here, which is a 94 by 96 circle. Then we'll hold down Shift, select the top there of the 48 by 96 left panel, and it is going to give me all 3 of these images as long as I right click, go quick export as PNG. Now I like to create a folder just for printing. So that folder, I'll make a new folder here. And then I will tell this that this is my print, Red Vikings. And I might put my template number in there just so I remember which template it was. Go ahead and select that folder. And what it is doing now is it's preparing the file to create a flattened version of your very advanced file here. So give it some time to do that. While it's spinning, it is literally taking and making flat panels for each of those that you can have printed. And now I'm just going to check on the file here. Inside of my print 305 Red Vikings folder. If I want to preview it, I can go to my large icons here, and I'll see the center circle, the right side and the left side, and let's go ahead and open these up. They will not be editable. They are PNGs, but they are ready for print. And you can see here with this one, on the left-hand side, I need to clean up that contour. On the right-hand side, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and crop off this excess over here. Just with my cropping tool, just make sure I match up with the edge here. Hit done, and now that has that nice clean edge there. If I check my image size now, this is now a 96 by slightly, very slightly smaller than 48, but this is perfect right here. This one is ready to print on a 4x8 and send that to your printer. Now the left panel print, same thing here. If you were doing a pop-out version, you can actually do your pop-out separate from your semicircle here. But that would be also using a whole nother board and a whole nother expense. So you want to make sure you budget accordingly. Let's go ahead and crop this one. And like I said, for this particular design, if you were hand cutting this, because we did not do the contour here on the hair, we would just have to hand contour here when we're cutting, hand cut, and cut down here to the shoulder and off to the inside of the circle. So this is something you can do by hand if you're sending it to somebody else to cut. I always suggest going ahead and doing the pen tool so they don't have to guess what to cut off and what to leave. You can be the captain of that ship and make sure that they're adequately cutting off the right amount of the image. Now we'll go ahead and check the image size of this one as well. We've got 150 here, 96, a little slightly under 48, which is perfect because that gives us a little area to trim. And let's go ahead and hit cancel here. We're just checking that out. Now we're going to have and make sure that we save this. And we have that one will be ready for print. Meanwhile, I'm going to come over here. Now this is a 96-inch image. That means that it is 2 boards. So what I've done here is I made it 94 inches in width instead of 96 so that we do have a little bit of leeway when it comes to tiling the image in the middle. Now what you're going to end up doing is putting the left part of the image on one board, the right part of the image on another board. So what I'm going to do here to make that happen is I'm going to go ahead and create a box here. That will start at the top. And it doesn't even matter if I don't put it in exactly the right size. I'm going to tell it that I want this board to be 47 inches wide because I want to give it at least an inch on one of those sides so that we have a little play area here. Oh, actually, I'm going to do 48 because the material is going to print the 48. We're going to do the overlapping if we have to on the cut side. Now I'm going to take off the link here and make the height of this be 96 because it is an 8-foot board. And here I'm going to turn off the fill just to give me an idea of what's going to print here. Now I have something in store to automatically help you split up these type of images. But in the meantime, I want you to understand the principles until I get that tool ready. Now what I want to do is I actually want to duplicate this. I'm going to use my move tool, duplicate this over to the other side just so I can see that I do have an overlap. And I do have 2 panels here. And then I'm going to use this to kind of temporarily crop my image. So I want to start with the rectangle on the left here. And then I'll call this right. And then you're going to see why when I come up with the automatic process for this, you will love it because you will not have to do this manual step. All right, so let's go ahead and get our crop tool here. And I'm going to crop the image and it will lock. Hold on just a moment. Let me make sure. Let me hit escape here. And make sure that you do not have delete crop pixels turned on. Turn that off just for right now because this is going to be an easy way for you to export your images, but it's not a non-destructive way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just increase the stroke a little bit so I can see it. There it goes. And because I'm doing an overlap, it is fine that I see the stroke here. If you really don't want to see the stroke that badly, I like to use, instead of using a black, I like to use like a gray, a lighter gray, so it's not so revealing if I just so happen to mistakenly have that in the edge of the slice somewhere. All right, so now let's go ahead and turn on our crop tool here. And now that I can see the line, I feel it snapping right at that edge there. I'm going to go ahead and let that crop. And now when I go to export this or save it, we can literally click on this right now and quick export that as PNG. Let's call that our left circle. So the circle center. And then I'm going to put left on there. And then I'll go ahead and call this a 48 by 96. And the same thing with the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the cropping tool, bring it back to this extent here. And now I want to turn on my right guide here on my cropping tool. I'm just tapping on the image there. And then I'll make it stop at the center there. As long as I tap on the layer, it automatically starts the cropping process. And then I will, on my back layer here, quick export as PNG. And if I want to see what these pieces are, I'm going to go to my large icons. This is the circle here, and instead of the left, this one is now going to be the right. Go ahead and save. And that will be the right side. Now I will be showing you in an upcoming template how to go ahead and automatically create these pieces. And this will help you on your journey of just automation, going through the processing, creating opportunity to save more time, which is hence earning you more money, because then you can use your time to do other things like building new designs, marketing your business, etc. So as far as we are doing right now, I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because I don't want to save this to my complete circle print here. I want to keep my complete circle, and then I have my 2 halves that are ready to print. So as I'm preparing this for the printer, I would be sending the printer only the 48 by 96 panels. So this would be 4 48 by 96 panels. And then this one is just simply for my reference to split. And that's it, my loves. I hope you have fun designing this. I can't wait to see your work, and feel free to drop your images, whether it be digital designs, mock-ups, or the finished product that you did inside of the Innate Academy Facebook group. We would love to see your work. Now, once you go ahead and export your images at the 150 pixels per inch size, make certain that you do this step right here. Let's go ahead and go back up to our image size. And before we save this thing, we want to go ahead and take it down back to our 15 pixels per inch. Go ahead and hit OK and let that process. And you'll notice that it's much smaller. Go ahead and do Control-0 to get it back into our zoomed in view. It doesn't look any different, but trust me, 100%, it does change the quality of the image. And now we can go ahead and also go into our background image. Remember, we also made that 150 pixels per inch. We're going to go back into it and make it 15 pixels per inch, just taking off that 0. So we'll go up here to image size. Go ahead and take that down so that you end up with a smaller image there. And again, it's going to get really tiny. Go ahead and do Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac. And make sure that you save. We'll close out of this tab. And the image doesn't look any different, but this is just a way that you can get peak performance from your laptop, from your PC, from your mini PC, so that you are able to do high-level graphics at the fastest speed possible. But you just have to remember to take anything that you put at the preview image size and go ahead and put it at 150 ppi. Now this is ready to go. Now when I'm doing my mock-ups, I'm going to make sure that I do my mock-up from this level. So I can quick export as PNG. It's still going to be legible. It's still going to look great, but it is not my printable set. When I do my printable set, I'm going to make certain that I have it at 150 pixels per inch. And that's it, folks. You are ready to mock up and wow your clients and hopefully get a little bit more confident in this large format printing space.